Alright, should be another draftphysics.com, debatephysics.com, where you'll find a bunch of 5-minute videos basically explaining this controversy of, let's see, I should be able to draw it here. Yes, maybe. Just see how it goes. MV versus, right? MV squared. Okay, well, you can't see that. So that didn't work at all. I need to put on another light, but we'll do it just for you. Alright, you can almost see that. And move that over a little. There we go. That looks like MU, but who cares? Anyway, so Ian Gosling has made a video. He's no content in the video, nothing. He's just basically saying, believe me, believe me. We all believe it. You should believe it too. There's just nothing. No evidence, no proof, no experiments, no any citation to anything that indicates what he's saying makes any sense at all. He's just saying, believe me, because we all believe it. You should believe it too. And it's just an incredible waste of time. I mean, it's going back
on Gary's model,
further than 2 years ago. I mean, it's like he just discovered that MV and MV squared aren't compatible theories, that they have different answers. Big surprise, they come up with a different answer. Who knew? Hilarious, really. I mean, it's just such an insane waste of time. So he thinks this has something to do with wide draft science, gravity time theory. That is, gravity is a time-dependent force. You get affected by gravity based on how long you're exposed to it. That will decide how much energy you can collect from it. Is very wrong, and has just no evidence. So he's not going to show a car crash. He's not going to show it taking 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast, or he's not going to show, 25 times the damage created by going 5 times as fast. So he's not going to show us a 50-mile-an-hour car crash creating 25 times more damage than a 10-mile-an-hour crash. He's not going to show us anything like that. Just going to tell us we should believe because they say so. Just incredible nonsense. Alright, so I'm going to go, I did make this video already, and the way I did it before, I had to fix a bunch of, Linux is not, lately, the updates keep breaking everything. It's quite annoying, and so I have to make sure the audio, it loses the audio sources, and then it loses a camera source, and just, it's really fucking annoying. Anyway, but it's the price you pay for evading the corporate fables. The fables that those are the good guys. Alright, so I've drawn this over and over again, and they will not respond to this simple diagram. I guess I could move this over. Oh, perhaps, well, no, there's not much to move over there. I don't gain much. Just draw it better, Gary. Okay, so we'll draw it over here. So we have a gravitational source. You can't see it's a point source. It's creating... I'll just erase it and start over. Alright. That's really in the wrong position. Yes. Alright. What needs to be is bigger, I think. Yeah, I think I have to make it bigger. Alright, sorry for the little technical bullshit. Been a long day already. Alright, so I should be able to draw this. I didn't really have a problem before. I don't know why it's a problem now, but it is. Alright, so there's a gravity source. And the simple argument is you have point A and a point B, okay, and you're going to travel that distance. And the fact is the gravity is just a field, you could argue, of energy. And basically it just means that there's more stuff on one side than there is the other. So there's more stuff coming from this way than comes from this way is the simplest argument you could make. And that's what's creating the differential. So it's like the light bulb versus the rest of the light coming from the universe kind of argument. You could make that the light bulb creates a disproportional amount of energy. It's the same inverse square law. So the light bulb is also a point source radiating, and the radiation is moving in 2 directions. So like a paint sprayer, I could have a source of paint. The spray paint comes out, it comes out this way, and it also leaves this way. So the bits of paint are spreading at the inverse square law. So there's lots of ways you can duplicate exactly how the force of gravity behaves. So comparison to paint or to photons are perfectly legitimate because it's the same exact inverse square law that it behaves according to. So just think of it as paint. And the real argument is the more paint that hits you, the more likely you are to go into the crash, and the less paint that hits you, the more likely it is you just keep your path and not be disturbed much. And that's the simple truth. The faster you go, the less paint is going to get on you. The slower you go, the more paint gets on you, the more you collect. A simple enough argument. Distance doesn't mean a damn thing. The thing that really matters is how fast you go from point A to point B. Okay, now I've redrawn this the second way just in case these morons can't get that argument, because, well, you're going horizontally. Somehow it confuses me. Alright, so even if I go with the gravity, the same argument holds. I could move something 500 miles an hour or 50 miles an hour, and we're going to do the same A to B, same distance they're going to travel. If we say the 500 mile an hour takes 1 second to travel this distance, all it's going to be is 509.8 when it hits the ground. So it's going to gain 1 unit of gravity, 1 second worth. This will take 15 seconds, let's say. There's going to be 15 units of gravity collected, and it's going to hit at 150. Because it's going to, well, no, it's going to be 200 because it's going to collect 150, right? 15. Could have made it 10 seconds. Probably would have been, yeah, it would have been a better answer. This should have been a 10. Then this would be 150. Sorry about the error. You can't quite see those numbers anyway. There's always something. We'll try that. Yeah, that'll help. All right. So yeah, so no matter how you configure it, it works as a theory that it's time dependent, and the distance is quadratically related to the speed you're going. So the faster you go, the less time you're in gravity, the less gravity can affect you. Okay, so the faster you get through it, the better off you are. So it's like rockets going into space. The slower they go, the more work they have to do. The faster they get into space, the less work they'll have to do against the gravity. It's just a fact. All right, those I would argue were well-established facts. But so anyway, so he's contending this isn't true. So go ahead and just say it. Tell me it isn't true. That if something comes in, you know, that your theory doesn't work as soon as I give something extra velocity. That your theory stops working. The distance thing doesn't work. So unless they all start from 0 velocity, your theory stops working. Where my theory keeps working no matter what speed they're going, because it really is just about how much time you're in the force. How much time you're in the sun decides how much suntan you get. Now, we haven't had a logical argument explaining how that's not true. That that's exactly true, and it's exactly true for how gravity works. You know, we've been over all these arguments, but yeah, in space, this kinetic energy theory doesn't work. You know, if I shove, 2 kilograms worth of water out one side of my ship going 1 mile an hour, and I shoot a dime, 1,000 times less mass, out the other side at 1,000 miles an hour, ship won't turn. So even though I have 1,000 times more energy going out one side than out the other side, by their theory, it doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything. The spaceship isn't moved, because the spaceship is moved by momentum. Momentum's all that matters. So if I'm in the gravity movie and I'm using a fire extinguisher to decide which way to go, what's going to matter is how much mass at what velocity comes out of that extinguisher. Kinetic energy won't play a role. It's just going to be about the momentum leaving. That's it. How much momentum did I give away? That's what's going to figure out how much momentum I'm going to get. Okay, so there are places where there is pretty decisive evidence. They just don't want to look at those places. They don't want to analyze them. They don't want to show how those places it doesn't work. They just want to sit there and keep claiming. We all believe it, so you have to believe it. We're peppers. You have to be a pepper too. So it's just like religion. I mean, the Catholic religion is popular not because it's a great religion and a great story and it makes a lot of sense. It's popular because it killed everybody who disagreed. It's that simple. I mean, come on. This isn't complicated. They're just claiming to be right, saying be one of us, and we don't bother with evidence though. So in the 350-year theory, years of this theory existing, what do they have? They have Leibniz's claim that it's the same energy. 4 pounds dropping 1 foot is the same energy as 1 pound dropping 4 feet. Provably not correct, but they never bothered trying to prove it. Never did on the moon. Okay, go ahead, do it on the moon and see what kind of cloud you get in the dust. Because you're not going to get the same cloud in the dust. Okay, it's a fact. It's not the same energy. So it was a wrong axiom, a wrong premise. That's all he had as an argument, was his emphatic statement. The truth is nobody fell for it because scientists was a little bit smarter than these morons nowadays. So 400 years ago they were smarter than they are now. And they could figure out what was nonsense. And then 100 years later, Deschardelet shows up, a woman, kind of slutty, gives a lot of parties, and does little tricks. Let's dent clay with round things, and that'll prove it has more energy. Because that's a scientifically valid way to measure energy, denting clay with round things. That's the way to do it. Okay. Obviously bullshit. Okay. Nobody bothered analyzing it. They all liked the parties. They all fell for it. And so, yes, so was born the religion, Leibniz's religion. And they won't even call it by Leibniz's name, and they keep implying that somehow it's this classical. It's not classical. It's not Descartes. It's not Galileo. It's not Newton. So hardly classical. It's Leibnizian physics. That's what it really is. That's what they should call it, the Church of Leibniz. And then they can believe in solitons and monads and all the other crap that Leibniz believed in. But they're too big of fake and phony lying pieces of shit to even own up to what their religion is, who founded their religion. And it's just it's so obnoxious. So none of these arguments have been countered. They haven't done anything to point out how I'm wrong. Okay, nothing. And they certainly won't show you any evidence. Okay, I can show you Mythbusters where they crash cars, Simple enough, right? You're saying there's 4 times the energy at twice the velocity. So they give a car twice the velocity, it crashes into a steel wall. The car's only crushed twice as much, not 4 times as much. The experiment doesn't work to their advantage. Clearly, it's not producing their results. Now, what do you think the odds are that if they do it 3 times the velocity, they'll get 9 times the crushing? Or 4 times the velocity and 16 times the crushing? Well, I'd say the odds are 0. No chance at all. They don't care. They've never done the experiments. 300 years to do them, they've never done them. They've never even taken a scale and say, how much does something weigh? If I drop it from twice the distance, how much does it weigh? Does it weigh twice as much? No, it doesn't. If I drop from 4 times the distance, now it weighs twice as much. Alright, no, they haven't even bothered doing that experiment. And they're going to tell you what the truth is when they haven't done anything to validate it. So he's put numbers on his little chart here. Just absolute bullshit. Who cares? We already know these numbers. We already the velocity numbers. The joule numbers are just calculated. They're just made up. You didn't test any of it. You never tested if it was this much joules. You never took it and measured the heat. You never measured anything. You never measured how much energy was actually put into the ground or put into anything. You never put a scale and weighed it. They didn't even do that. Let alone the more interesting experiment where you could just take things on a pendulum, different weights, and just push them into a spring and see what happens. See what speed produces what weight. And the fact is 1 mile an hour will produce, no matter what I take, an elephant or a mouse, I move it 1 mile an hour, it's going to weigh its actual atomic weight. Its mass. It's going to weigh its mass. 1 mile an hour, you weigh your mass. So that's basically telling you that's what gravity's doing all the time. It's pushing you in 1 mile an hour. The ground keeps putting you back, so you never gain any distance. But you are moving 1 mile an hour into the ground. I mean, yeah. But no physicist will show up and point out their lies. No physicist, nobody will do a damn thing to give a fuck about the truth. And that's what's demonstrated by this whole fiasco, is that there are so many people who just don't care. And the very fact that they have no tests, they have no evidence, they have no experiments in 350 years, and these lying weasels I mean, if you're just a reasonably honest person, you should be able to concede. Why the hell didn't they do that? Why don't they drop weights on scales and see how much stuff weighs? Scales are very good at detecting energy. Why don't they do that? You can't ask the question, why don't they smash things into a wall and see how much it crushes? Why haven't they done any of these experiments? And the very fact that they haven't, that they don't have any evidence supporting this theory, should bug the hell out of you as a science liker. If you like science, you should really wonder, well, what kind of science is that? You just make up a number and you never test it. Ever. Not a single test to see this is how many joules of energy that actually was produced. Not a single experimental test. Ever. Alright. And this weasel makes this crap video. Ugh. Disgusting. So, leave it. I'll just play it for his rhetoric.
T. We're only getting 31 joules. I better explain how I got that number, by the way.
Yeah, who cares? I got, just make up fake numbers. We already know it's mv versus mv squared. Now you want to put a 1/2 in front of your mv squared, that's fine. Make it only half as bad. We already know that there's going to be like a 2-to-1 difference between the numbers. The momentum number, mv, mass times velocity, versus your velocity squared number. That generally speaking, there's going to be a twice the difference. But go ahead, play the game, because of the half.
By the way, what I've done there to get this number.
So this has nothing to do with me, okay? These are not my predictions. I never said this is 9.8 joules of energy. This is a complete made-up crap by him. Complete fakery. To say we even agree on what one mass dropped 1 meter will weigh. We don't agree on this number.
On the first line, the time is 0.45. And we've got 9.80. From the 2 height, 2 meters of drop, the time we know is 0.64.
So he doesn't even use the 4 thing, which is where the velocities double, which makes so much more sense. And obviously it's not till you get to, the 10 meters that you start getting around the 1 number here for the velocity, but he doesn't even have that right.
So to get the increase in energy, I've divided 0.64 by 0.45 to give us the increase between the two.
So it's completely arbitrary. It doesn't have anything to do with anything real or anything. So why not just multiply mv? Why not just multiply the mass times your velocity? Why complicate it? So right here we got 4.43. This number should be 4.43. I mean, it's one mass. It's 1 kilogram. So it's really simple math. You just multiply 1 times 6.26, and then why do it any more complicated than that? It's mv.
And then multiply the 9.80 by this difference, and that gives us the 13.93. The 10 meters of height, the 1.43 seconds divided by the 0.45, and then multiply the difference. 9.80 gives you 31, and likewise on the 20 meters of.
This 10 seems a little bit off, frankly, to me. It doesn't really matter, but because frankly at 9.8 meters, right? 9.8 meters would be 2 units, 2 seconds. So this doesn't quite seem right, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Height, we've got an energy of 44, but what a difference. We've got 196.
Yeah, and a completely unmeasured number, so you're just claiming it. So again, we're back to the 5-ton train, 10-ton train thing. I mean, what's the point of this conversation? Okay, I take a 5-ton train going 10 miles an hour. I add 5 tons to it. So the speed's got to be spread over both items now. So they're both going now half the speed. I end up with a 10-ton going 5. Momentum perfectly adds up. Your theory says I lost half the energy. I had 200 here. I only got 100 here. 200 here, 100 here. You have no explanation for where it went. There's no evidence of it in the environment anywhere. You're just magically saying it just disappeared out of nothing. It's nothing. And if I could somehow reverse the experiment, which is difficult because obviously it's easier to combine things than it is to separate things in nature, just a fact, because of gravity. But regardless, you have no explanation how you could destroy the energy or use the energy in some manner when you still have all the momentum. How can I make something fly off as a spark or as a piece of metal or anything? How could I break something and not use momentum to do it? I have to use the momentum. Things would have to slow down. The bowling ball can't knock a pin down and go just as fast as it was going before it knocked the pin down. I mean, come on. I mean, I've been over these arguments so many times. They won't touch my arguments. Instead, they make this, whatever this crap is, that says nothing. He proves nothing. He doesn't prove 196. He doesn't show us an experiment where they collected 196. Nothing. And it just says, look, that number's different. Yeah, that's the argument, shithead. Which one is real? And I'm going to argue that I measured it, frankly. All right, I know which one's real. Twice the height is not twice the weight. That's the fact. 4 times the height is twice the weight. So I've done that experiment. I'm satisfied.
Joules, according to the classical physics model. 196
so
joules.
Again, it's not the classical physics model. It's not Descartes, it's not Galileo, and it's certainly not Newton. I mean, Newton had surrogates go out and overtly argue this crap, okay, against it. So there's absolutely no evidence in the 40 years that Newton lived with this theory being talked about where at any moment he gave it any corner, that he said, yes, this might be true. No, he opposed it, and Leibniz was buried as a nobody because he had lost all credibility, partly because of this theory.
Model gives us 44 joules. What a vast difference, because...
So we just noticed that just now there's a vast difference? The whole point of this argument is that, yes, your theory is crazy. You're saying that one atom going 1,000 miles an hour has 1,000 times more power to destroy in the universe, to move things in the universe, than 1,000 atoms going 1 mile an hour. 1,000 times of magical power. And you have zero evidence. Your theory says it takes 25 times the fuel to go 5 times as fast. Your theory says something going 5 times faster does 25 times the damage. Do you have a single shred of evidence for any of that crap? No. Nothing. Zero evidence. That's the definition of a religion.
His is not linear. This one is linear.
It's perfectly linear to the time. You can't get any more linear. 1 times the velocity. How could you get more linear than that? It's exactly the same number. For fuck's sake.
Linear. Because the height is increasing in linear steps. So the energy is increasing in linear steps.
And it doesn't happen that way. Experiments I've done prove it wrong. But the fact is you don't have a single experiment showing it right. So go ahead and show the car crash where twice the velocity is 4 times the damage to the car. Go ahead and show me that.
But this, the time, because it's moving faster and faster, each unit of height, each meter of height is being passed through much quicker.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how it works. And the mass times the velocity tells you the, the amount of weight. But you're not doing mass times velocity, so you're making fake numbers. But just do. The time in seconds will tell you the number. The time in seconds tells you how many seconds of 9.8 you got.
See, so the energy, the impact, is being calculated much, much less now.
So again, when did no one know this? When did no one know that m times v ends up being a smaller number than m times v squared. Where in the last 3 years of this conversation was somebody confused that those two numbers wouldn't be dramatically different? You fucking lunatic.
What the true energy would be. And if you're not sure which model would be right, well,
go to the evidence. Oh, that's right. They haven't collected any evidence. Amazing.
Do you really think that this classical model...
So again, it's not a classical model. It's not Descartes, it's not Galileo, it's not Newton. It's Leibnizian mechanics. And Leibniz believed in a lot of wacky shit.
If it were that wrong...
So, if it was that wrong, there's still people walking on Earth that believe in gods, okay? I'm telling you, they're full of shit. Their brain is broken. They're fucktarded, okay? They have no hope of calculating anything correctly because they've gotten something so obvious so fucking wrong. So the fact that scientists are dupes also, and fools and morons that'll fall for any crap their little mommy teacher tells them, it's not my bad. It's their bad.
Unnoticed or
it's unnoticed because they didn't do any experiments. So just again, the fact that you can't even be honest enough to say, gee, scientists really should do experiments. Experiments are like fundamental to doing science, okay, is to demonstrate and cause the effect and then measure the effect and watch the effect. It's not just saying, I predict and I'll never test. No, it's supposed to be a lot of testing, okay, to go with any of these predictions. Lots of testing is what you're supposed to be doing. So you tell me where in the 300 years of this theory they tested it. Show me the test.
Or unqueried for all these centuries.
Well, it has been unqueried. It's an absolute fact. So where do you have a counter fact that it has been queried, that they actually measured the impact of to get these numbers, that they actually tested these numbers by measuring an impact? Show me where they did that.
You've got to ask yourself, do you really...
You have to ask yourself, do you really believe it's credible physics when they never test their answers? That's credible science. I'll just make predictions and I will never test the prediction to see if it's actually correct. It's almost like the double slit, frankly, okay? They just keep telling you, oh, well, yeah, it'll be this far apart, blah, blah, blah. They never measure anything. They never actually do the experiment.
You really entertain that idea? Or is it more likely that draft science has got it wrong completely? Because look at the difference.
Amazing. He's just saying, look, there are two different theories and they have different outcomes, therefore his must be wrong. I mean, yeah, so I could do what? I should make the same video. This would be a persuasive video for me to make. I'll put these calculated numbers down and then I'll go, look, the number's 44. Look at their number, 192. That's crazy high. Wow, how did they get a number so fucking wrong? And that'll convince people. I won't explain why 44 is correct. No, I'll just explain why 192 is a pile of shit. It's just amazing nonsense with no experiment. No evidence. Oh, fuck.
44 joules compared to 196 joules.
Yes. One atom going 1,000 miles an hour is 1,000 times. It has 1,000 times more power than 1,000 atoms going 1 mile an hour. That's your assertion, and you have zero evidence that it's true.
Obviously, one model's correct.
There we go, finally. Yeah, that's what the subject's been for over 2 years, is testing the two models. And where are the tests at present? Well, they're still in limbo. The tests are all just contrived nonsense tests. You're never going to show the 25 times the fuel to go 5 times faster. Show me the motor that's using 25 times the wattage to spin 5 times faster. You think you're ever going to show me that experiment? I don't think you ever show it because it doesn't fucking happen. And I think you already know it doesn't happen.
And you've got to ask yourself, does it make any sense?
Does it make any sense that they've been proselytizing this crap for 300 years and they can't produce an experiment to show it? So where has classic physics produced the experiment? I've already debunked the denting clay with round things because that's just obvious geometry. I mean, you can debunk that one easily. Okay, what else do they have, fuckhead? Tell me, besides dropping things in clay, or let's say rolling something on a surface, what experiment do you have that demonstrates this 4 times the energy?
That this model has
Twice the velocity, 4 times the energy.
been covered up for all these.
There's nothing to cover up. They have avoided the test. They haven't covered up the fact that they failed the test. They don't do the test. They won't show the test. Now, I could argue that there probably are some people covering it up. Do you really think NASA never tried the Eddington experiment with all those cameras and all those satellites? They never even tried the experiment? It's hard to imagine they never tried it. And the fact was they couldn't get the result, and so they just ignored it. So I'd say that is a cover-up. But frankly, do you think it's credible that in the 50 years we have been in space that they couldn't have taken 5 minutes to do the Eddington experiment? 5 frickin' minutes.
Entries, such a simple thing. I would argue it doesn't.
So obviously he didn't say anything, he didn't prove anything, didn't show anything. So he's arguing, look, my numbers look really cool. See, this is a 1 and this 9 is really cool and the 6 is really cool. Aren't these cool numbers? So they must be much better than this ugly little 44 over. Oh, 44? Ew, what a disgusting number 44 is. That's his argument here. There's no argument here. There's no argument from evidence. There's no argument from here's the test and here's the test results. Nothing. He's just saying, I'm a very good driver. We don't get to see him drive.
The MGH maintains the conservation of energy.
Conservation of what? The made-up number. How is it conserved? And it clearly isn't conserved. Again, I could just do it over and over and over again. 5 ton going 10. Add 5 tons. 10 ton going 5. That adds up. Your theory, 300 joules. Okay, add some weight. 150 joules. That doesn't add up.
But the MGT breaks it. The higher we lift a mass,
I mean, this is, like I said, it will be part of the record. So, I mean, this will be demonstrated to be, this is the best they could do. All right, so I get on the internet, I propose a theory, I solicit wherever I can interest by people, I offer to pay them to participate in this conversation in some sort of reasonable manner, and you just can't get them to do it. And this is the kind of nonsense they produce as a fucking counter argument. Instead of showing me something, they just do this telling. I'm telling you this is the right answer and that's the wrong answer. Well, that doesn't mean anything. The fact that you fall for it is your liability. All right, and the fact is that every single time I draw it, they won't draw what I draw and explain where I made a mistake. So draw what I have drawn. Draw the simple diagram of the gravitational body and show us, okay, how when something's falling in the gravity, that somehow the distance it falls controls how much gravity it collects and that the time doesn't matter. I can go really fast through the gravity, I can go very slow through the gravity, and I'll be affected by the same amount of force. Show that. Draw it.
off the ground, the higher we lift it,
the faster its average speed becomes. So again, you could write average velocities here, and you'd get the idea Okay, that your average velocity is increasing. So your time in the gravity per foot is decreasing.
Because the quicker and quicker it's going through the time, the energy it's collecting is less and less. So
yes, exactly. Per foot, it goes less and less. Takes less and less fuel the higher you shoot for, the less you pay per mile. Okay, there's a huge efficiency to speed in defeating gravity. The faster you go through it, the less work you'll have to do. Fact. Absolute frickin' fact. It's been a fact for a billion years before I said it, and it'll be a fact for trillions of years after I say it. And it's just really sad that you pathetic morons can't just say, yeah, I get it. Alright, yeah, it's like photons. It's like a suntan. Yeah, I have to get hit by the photons to get a tan. And if I'm not getting hit by them because I move through the field of sun really quickly, well, then I'm not going to get very tan.
We end up destroying energy.
There's no destroyed energy. So again, where's your evidence of anything destroyed? So because 44 isn't 192, his claim is I've destroyed energy. If the number here was 300, then he'd say I made free energy. He never established this 190 number as having any credibility at all.
The higher we lift something, we're still using all the energy to lift it up. We're still using...
So again, this is after he already knows that it's only twice the velocity. 4 times the height, that's only twice the velocity. He knows that. 9 times the height, only 3 times the velocity. 16 times the height, only 4 times the velocity. I mean, isn't that a huge giveaway that, yeah, it does. The energy per foot declines substantially the faster you start going.
Using 196 joules plus to get it 20 meters off the ground.
So a completely unverified, untested number. He's just telling us, I believe it, you should believe it too. That's all he's doing. That's all he's doing here. He's just wasting time.
But if this model were true, we'd only get 44 back. What's that, a quarter, isn't it?
So he's claiming it takes 192 to lift it. Now, where did you demonstrate that? What experiment proved that? Where did you prove how much energy it takes to get something to a height? It's exactly the same, actually, and that's already been well established, that the falling velocity is the same. If you use the same lifting velocity, you use exactly the same amount of energy, and it's exactly consistent. So you're just making this shit up.
Where's all the energy been destroyed? Can't have it. Anyway, what do you think of that?
All right, so what do I think? I think you're an evasive coward, okay? It's disgusting that you make these arguments and you'll pay a single bit of attention to the arguments I've made over 100 times. Over 100 times I draw a picture and I say, explain where something in that picture is wrong. Because then we have you on the record as being an idiot. Then you're going to have to say that, no, if you're going 500 miles an hour, you're still going to get 150. Even though you're in the gravity for 1 second, you're still going to get an extra 150 in velocity. Go ahead and make that argument. Say that you know it's different. You know the answer's different than the answer I provided, the prediction I made, the drawing I did. Show the drawing to be wrong. You fucking piece of shit.
Nice. I hope you're watching, Gary.
Fuck
and also,
you. I mean, this is such a waste of goddamn time. Again, he did nothing here. He showed nothing, proved nothing, demonstrated nothing, provided no evidence of anything at all. Just said, we believe, we believe, we believe. And that's it. That's all he did.
Please, Gary, if you are watching, I don't know when I've made this video. I don't know whether you've done a
I don't know when I've made the video. Oh, amazing. Anyway.
follow-up to Michael Fowles.
So why bring up Michael? He's just committed an egregious error, right? Okay, I mean, he did the fucking calculation of 4 times the height wrong. He couldn't calculate 4 times the height correctly, for fuck's sake, and did it twice as much. He didn't miss it by a little bit, he missed it by a gigantic amount. Did an experiment for 23 minutes, ragged on about how this proves, and the experiment was completely flawed. just complete error nonsense. And then he's so much of a coward he doesn't repeat it doing it correctly. Just like you fucking weasel. Just like you, he's hiding the truth. I mean, he could have made a video where, oh gee, I did it the right way and it came out exactly as Gary predicted. What do we do? Let's all panic and come up with some sort of conspiracy theory. Let's contrive some new experiment. Let's contrive some new way to do it so it comes out our way. That's all you do. That's all you're interested in doing, is wasting my fucking time. So yes, so in the case of the, I mean, there's just no point, right? I mean, there's no point in arguing with people this dishonest. So I had no idea he was using a launching device that had a piece of metal in it. All right, and I pointed out how the piece of metal is absorbing a giant hunk of the momentum. So if you double the speed, then the piece of metal has now doubled how much it's consumed out of the energy of the spring. So obviously he's not pushing these objects at twice the speed. It's not even close to twice the speed. All right, and so what does he do? He takes, I just made the point that, if you're going to have two different things you're going to be measuring, and one's less mass than the other, the surface area that you're pushing on should be the same, because frankly, that would be a better experiment. But what does he do then? So he tapes them together. And, I could make the simple argument that, if I had a toboggan and I put people on it and I went down the slope this way, then I'm going to go a lot faster this way than I'm going to go if I put the people on the toboggan this way and go through the snow. Right? So even that simple argument defeats what he did. But he didn't even show you. He puts a bunch of duct tape on things and then says they have the same surface. We didn't get to see what their surfaces look like. How many, whether there was any taped edges, anything rubbing. I mean, it's a friction fucking experiment, for fuck's sake. You want the two things to have the same contact with the ground is what you're trying to achieve. And he does it with this sloppy duct tape bullshit. I mean, you're going to make an argument to me. On top of the fact that the launching device is already proven flawed. That's a proven fact. This bar can give you some sort of information on that. How, yeah, it works better the more direct your spring is. Okay, if you don't have moving parts in front of your spring, the damn thing works better. I mean, amazing bullshit. Why don't you tell him to repeat the fucking oscillation experiment, where he proved that it oscillates for 60 to 40, which is 1.4 again. So instead of oscillating twice as long as his prediction says, it has twice the energy. It should oscillate twice as long, not 0.4 longer. All right, and do that experiment with actually the right height, because and I know that the answer is going to be, oh fuck, they are going to oscillate the same amount of time. So do the experiment now. Now that you've claimed that experiment has any credibility, then defend its credibility by doing it the right way. You fucking piece of shit. You redid your clay experiment, okay? The one you said they came out with the same amount of compression, and then you redid it this new way, and all of a sudden you got your 1.4 number again. Well, aren't you supposed to be getting twice the joules? How come twice the joules doesn't look like twice? Jackass. Why isn't it twice the joules compressing the clay twice as much?
He's redone. He's taken the time and effort to.
I mean, this time and effort crap can just be. I mean, it's just so pukable. All you do is contrive experiments. That's it. They're contrived. I mean, I can roll dice and I can make it look like my dice always get snake eyes by just not showing you all the other things it does. So it's just, this is their science. I will try to figure out a way to do the experiment where it comes out our way, and I'll just ignore all the times the experiment didn't come out our way. Yeah, let's just film the ones that are the perversions, the mutations that come out our way. We won't show all the Frankensteins and all the shit that didn't work out too well.
You do your accusation of the spring launch sliding mass.
No, the spring launch wasn't dealt with at all. Okay, he used the same fucking idiotic launching device that consumes at least a third of the momentum, at least.
This thing. I didn't understand what you were saying.
Yeah, you're really dumb. So that's why you don't understand anything. Because you're really fucking stupid. You shouldn't even be allowed in this conversation. You care nothing about the history. You care nothing about doing any research. You don't really give a fuck about science. You're just some sort of religious kook trying to defend any old religion. You realize that science is just like Catholicism. It's just another fun religion. And you're just defending it because you love defending fables. Because that's what you are. You're just a little unicorn pansy.
About the distribution of the weight.
Can't take anything real in your life.
I think that was a nonsense. But after all the insults, Michael was taking the trouble to...
Oh, again, fuck you, taking the trouble to contrive absolute crap. He promised in the comments section he was going to redo the experiment. Why didn't he redo it? It's 2 weeks later. Why didn't he redo it? He conceded his numbers might be wrong in the comments section. He concedes his whole experiment might be a piece of shit. He spent 23 minutes ragging. He didn't take the video down. He's left it up as if this is a real experiment, like he had the measurements actually correct. The measurements are completely wrong. The whole video is a big fat fucking piece of lie, and he's left it up. What do you call that except a liar? What do you call somebody who fucking fucks a video up, doesn't admit it, doesn't retitle it, complete fuck up video? Did he do that? No. I mean, you people are so dishonest.
Redo the experiment. So I think it's only fair for you to acknowledge that and...
Yeah, acknowledge what? The same shitty launcher, and all he's done is put duct tape on things, okay, where we don't even get to see what they're actually being slid on. I mean, again, a simple argument is I just make the toboggan argument again. Do you really think the toboggan will work just as well going down the hill this way as it'll work going down the hill this way? Do you think so, shit for brain?
Give it a going over with your critique. Cheers.
Fuck you. Get what you deserve, which is to be, just choked to death on fucking gingerbread. Whatever. Some fucking bullshit, You're just disgusting. Disgusting human being that you would talk this absolute shit. You have zero evidence, and then you say something like, why would you think everybody wouldn't believe this? It's so proven with all the tests that it's successfully passed. Look at all the tests. There's no test paper. You're saying you're a genius, and yet you have no test paper. You can't get any weaselier than this. Again, this is in the name of science. I mean, really, it's just so... How, you people are such rapists. You're raping the very idea of intelligence, credibility, honor, integrity. All of this stuff is what science is supposed to have. I mean, to argue that you've proven or demonstrated when you have no fucking evidence. Nothing. We have to go look and find accidental experiments where they accidentally compared kinetic energy to momentum. They weren't trying to do it on purpose. God forbid somebody do that. Oh, fuck. Do hate this planet. Lying scum everywhere.